Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Stanford Outdoor Supply B.O.S. Land Navigation Kit. This particular kit currently goes for $39.99 on StanfordOutdoorSupply.com, and it's part of their growing B.O.S. lineup. The idea behind the B.O.S. series is that you can buy this kit to supplement your existing bug out or survival gear. You've got a lot of different types in this series: fire, water, land navigation, shelter. So every kit has a theme that's meant to take care of a particular need for your bug out or survival kit. I've had some time now to play around with this kit and do a little bit of research. So let's go ahead and open this thing up so you guys can take a look at the contents. Alright guys, so now we've got everything laid out. Let's talk this through. This is a 16-piece kit we've got right here. Just like the rest of the B.O.S. kits, it does come in a metal foil type waterproof resealable bag. This is going to be completely sealed. It has a tear off portion when you first get it, but if you want to go ahead and close it back up, it does have a waterproof Ziploc type seal there, so you'll be good to go. You won't have to worry about the weather getting inside this kit. All of the items included in this kit are clearly listed on the front of the package for easy reference. It is clear on the back side as well, so you can look inside, but this will make sure that you know all the pieces that are in this kit at all times. So I'll just flip this around just so I can read through this to make sure we cover everything that's included here. First off, we do have a base plate compass. You can see right here. This is a True Arc 3 by Brunton. This is made in the USA, which is nice to see, and it seems like a pretty decent compass. When I looked it up online, these go, depending on where you get them from, between like $11 to $13, somewhere right around there. So it seems like a pretty good quality compass. We've also got 6 land navigation reference cards. It looks like this comes from maptools.com. This gives you a lot of different specifics that you'll need to know for more advanced land navigation: longitude, distance we see here, east declination, west declination. So this definitely gets into some of the little bit more complicated stuff, and it's good to have for reference. It looks like these are a waterproof plastic type material. There is a hole there too, so you could put these on a key ring if you wanted to, something along those lines, or run some paracord through there to loop them together, so you can have those with you for easy reference. We also have a magnifier that comes along with that kit, which seems to work fairly well. I'm not sure exactly how strong the magnification is on this, but it's definitely enough to help you out with map reading. Who knows, you might be able to use it as like a Fresnel lens in a pinch too. I haven't tried to play with that to see if it's strong enough magnification, but it's something to think about. We've also got a set of ranger beads. Now, if you're not familiar with ranger beads, this is something that is fairly common in the military. I've seen a couple different designs, some simpler than this, but what it'll basically allow you to do is to keep track of your pace count when you're walking in the woods. If you're trying to really track your distance closely, you can just move that bead down, whether it's 25, 50 paces, whatever, and you can use that to help keep track of your distance. If you can see that there. And then with a set like this, if you'd like, you've got this top set of beads, you could use this to, say, keep track of every time you pace maybe 50 paces, if that's what you were doing, and you could use the beads up here every time you hit, say, 200 paces. You could pull one of those down, pull those back up, and that would just make it a little easier for you to keep track. You can hook this on your clothes. A good way is to like hook it on the lapel of your shirt or something like that, so it's there for easy reference. So an effective tool, nice little trick that the military likes to use. This kit also comes with 6 waterproof index cards. These are from a company called Right in the Rain. If you're in the military, you're probably familiar with these, but this is a good coated type paper that's not going to get messed up from the rain. Now, you can use any kind of pens or pencils on this card. However, they do make specialized pens with ink that's also made to be waterproof. So depending on what kind of writing instrument you use on these, that writing might not necessarily be waterproof depending on the ink. 100% waterproof. But they do have, again, specialized pens that you can get if you want something that could literally sit out in the pouring rain and not get messed up. And if you want the ability to actually be able to write on it literally while it's being rained on, you'll want to look into those as well. We've also got a military style coordinate scale, also known as a protractor in the military. And this is a really great tool to have, essential if you're trying to do more advanced map reading, plotting out your coordinates and distances. This is the way to go. It gets super accurate when accuracy matters. So a great tool to have, something if you're not familiar with, if you've never used one of these before, it's a good skill to learn. We've also got 2 waterproof map bags included, and this is essentially like a big heavy-duty, Ziploc type bag, but this would be definitely good to have, depending on what kind of map you're working off of, a trail map or whatever. It's not always going to be waterproof or even water resistant sometimes, so that's nice to have so you can make sure that you preserve those. Also, in an emergency, you can use these for collecting water, for protecting any other kind of items that need to be protected from the rain. So just something good to have in general, but especially when you've got maps and stuff that are made out of paper. We've also got a pencil included, which was part of this little kit that does come pre-sharpened. So that's good to have. One thing I might recommend if you are going to supplement this kit would be to add a small inexpensive pencil sharpener, since there's not one included in this kit. Oh, by the way, I talked about those 6 reference cards earlier. There is a ring included here, so you can loop that through those. We also have a mechanical pace counter, which you can see right here. Nothing super fancy, but it does work. This is another thing you can use to help keep track of your pace count while you're out in the woods. This also probably would be helpful if you're trying to measure your pace count. If you're not familiar with your own pace count, what you're going to need to do is to set a predetermined distance, like a space that you can walk that you already know the distance that it is. And then you're going to need to walk that distance, and you're going to want to do that several times so you can figure out what your average pace is. Now, you'll want to get your average pace in an open area where it's flat, no obstructions. You'll also want to get your pace count through a more heavily forested area, maybe that has uneven terrain, because it is going to vary. Odds are your pace count's going to be a lot lower over rougher, more varied terrain. So you want to have those 2 averages, and that's going to make it a lot easier for you to keep track of the distance that you've actually traveled, because you're going to need to use your average pace count to kind of help you keep track of that. Now, we've also got a map reading and land navigation manual right here, and this comes straight from the Army. This is an FM 21-26, so for anybody who's in the Army, you're probably very familiar with this. But it is definitely good information. There is a lot of information here. One thing about this book is it's not waterproof at all, though, so if you take this out with you, you're going to need to be mindful of that. You're not going to be able to open this up when it's raining or humid. You're going to want to keep it protected, but this goes very in depth. So if you're interested in learning more advanced land navigation techniques, this is definitely a good way to go. The Army, in my opinion, has got it pretty well nailed down. They cover a lot of detail again in this manual. So if you're not familiar, this will definitely help you out to get you past those just very basic land navigation skills. And lastly, we have their survival tips sheet. You get one sheet like this in every kit. This is a waterproof, or at least water resistant type wax paper right here, and this gives you some basic tips here to get started. It says you should practice. That's definitely good advice. Says you should always have maps when you're out traveling. Also good advice. Gives you some tips on calculating your pace, like I was talking about a minute ago. It explains to you how to use those ranger beads, and just kind of gives you a little basic info about the whole kit. So it's something that's nice to have here, especially if you're just learning, just getting started, to kind of give you a feel of what you're going to be able to accomplish once you're familiar with using this kit. Alright guys, so overall I really like this kit. Now one thing that concerned me when I first started taking a look at it was the price point. At $39.99, it's definitely not a cheap kit. However, when I did a little bit of research and kind of started calculating all the different items included in the kit, you're looking at around like $12 being the average price for the compass. You're going to pay, you know, $6 or $8 for the pace counter. If you bought an actual pre-done set of Ranger beads like that, $6 or so. So it starts to add up to where it kind of makes sense price-wise. So I definitely don't think it's overpriced for what you're getting. It would be nice if they could have got the price a little bit lower. I think just for your average consumer, it might have been a little more appealing that way. But I know they've got to make a profit, right? They've got to make a little bit of money off this kit. So really not a bad price when you factor everything into the total value you get here. Honestly, I don't see this kit so much as like a supplement kit to go in a bug out bag, as I see it as an instructional kit. Like I would be much more likely, say, to buy this if I had somebody I knew who was maybe in the Boy Scouts or who was just trying to learn more about land navigation, or if it was just me and I didn't have a military background and I wanted to learn a little bit more complex, a little more detailed form of land navigation. Great way to go, because you get everything you need right here. Now, when you do have a military background, you may look at some of these items and say, oh, I could put together a set of Ranger beads myself. You know, I can get those guides and everything. And so you might not see as much value in that, but it's really a great teaching tool in my mind for somebody who does not have experience with this type of land navigation. There's a lot of hikers, you know, campers, people out there who have basic skills, a basic understanding of how to use a compass, terrain association, sort of how to track your pace count, how to read a map, that sort of thing. But with the military, because you're potentially doing land navigation in a combat zone, it's a lot more important that you're very, very accurate when it comes to the paths you take, the distances you go, because if you go too far or too far in one direction or the other, end up in an enemy base camp, or you're in a line where artillery is being dropped, it could be very, very bad. So there's a much stricter requirement as far as how accurate and honed your land navigation skills are. So if that's what you're trying to get to, you want to have a much tighter skill set, then this could be a great way to go for you, or again, as a gift for somebody else. Now, me personally, one of the things I would have liked to see in the kit, if you are going to go for more of a military style, military route type of land navigation, would have been a lensatic compass rather than a base plate compass like they give you. And if you're in the military, you're familiar with this, but with a lensatic compass, you can see there's a little bit different look to it. When you've got it opened up all the way, it functions as like a standard compass, but the way this is going to work, when you set it up like this, it's got a lens you can look through. You see there's a wire right there, and you're going to hold that up to your face, and you can use that to actually shoot a azimuth at a particular object, say a very recognizable tree or a rock or something like that off in the distance, and it's going to give you a more accurate reading. And you're probably going to see, well, I know you're going to see when you go into that Army manual, it's going to refer to this a lot, because a lensatic compass is basically the standard for the military. So in my opinion, having one of these in there probably would have been better than a base plate compass, but a lot of people, they may be more familiar with a base plate compass, so maybe that makes it a little more accessible. I don't know, but in my opinion, I think this would have been a little bit better in the kit. Now, I think the best advice that I can give you if you're considering buying this kit, don't think of it as something that you're just going to take and you're going to add it to your bug out bag and never open it up, and then when you get an emergency situation, you're going to pull it out and you're going to be good to go. Land navigation is about a lot more than tools. It's about skills. It's about experience. So get this kit, open it up, and use it to hone those skills. Start learning new techniques. Take the time, do some research online too. Look up some videos. Just try to get your skill set as well-rounded as possible, because if you don't have the skills when you need them, it's really too late to try to learn them out in the field. It could make the difference between life and death. So a great learning tool, in my opinion. Not so much a survival supplement kit, really, but an awesome learning tool. Alright folks, this concludes our review of the Stanford Outdoor Supply B.O.S. Land Navigation Kit. For this and the rest of their B.O.S. lineup, you can head on over to StanfordOutdoorSupply.com. Feel free to leave your comments and questions below this video, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.